Hello. Oh, that was fun. This is why I wait for my phone to connect, because it just went, oh no, I've lost connection. I'm just going to wait for confirmation that we are definitely live. So give me 1 minute. Let my system catch up with me. Okay, I'll go with it. Hello everybody. Today's Thursday Things is focused on the mind. So September will be all focused on the mind, and today is all about mental stimulation. So hello everybody, my name's Marianne and I'm the founder of Naturally Wilor, which is a source of information to help you to heal your horse, mind, body and soul. Naturally. Now today is Friday, so my Thursday Things I shifted to today because of the sad news that the Queen had passed away yesterday. So out of respect, I moved the Thursday Things. I hope that you are all paying your respects to such an amazing horsewoman. Even if you are not a royalist and you don't like the monarchy, such an amazing horse lover should always be appreciated. So, moving into mental stimulation. That can mean a lot to lots of different people, and I just wanted to go through a little bit of what mental stimulation means to me and the options that could be available and why it's so important. Now, if you've seen the banner for this event, you'll have seen that I've got the 3 circles which are interlocked, and we're focusing on the mind, but all 3 are interlinked. You'll have somewhere mind crosses over into soul, you'll have somewhere mind crosses over into body as well. So there'll also be the sweet spot where it all combines together. What we're trying to do is balance it out so that your horse doesn't have all mind, doesn't have all body, or very little soul or very little mind. So in creating that balance, you'll hopefully be able to find that your horse is happier, they have a more fulfilling and longer life. So that's the overall aim. So let's have a look at mental stimulation. Now, horses are natural foragers and they can spend up to 16 hours a day in the wild simply foraging for the most nutritious plants and the ones that benefit them most if they've got medicinal issues that need assistance. So in the wild, that is what they would do. Obviously with us and the human interaction, that is extremely limited. Now it depends on obviously how you keep your horse. If for example it's stable the majority of the day versus if it's on a track system or if it's got a field to wander around. There's all different situations where it's limited in some fashion or another. Sometimes it's purely just the fact that the horses aren't out in the wild. So even in that way, their foraging is restricted. So you've also got the fact that in all situations, we are providing the food for them in some form or another, whether you're strip grazing, whether you're feeding hay nets, whether you're doing a combination, there is some sort of restrictive on the foraging ability. And there's obviously the danger that if a horse eats their food or forage, whatever, you're giving them, the grass, the hay, the haylage, there is obviously the factor that they could eat it very, very quickly. And some horses do. Some horses will just stuff their face full, especially if they've got herd mates that are pushing them about, which can obviously lead to issues with digestion, such as colic, which isn't very, very good. I mean, today I've had to deal with Egypt having this second gas colic issue, and it's not fun. And I'm still trying to figure out why it is, but I know it's not down to this issue because he is on a feed regimen that's throughout the day, so it spreads out his feed. So it's not that he's having too much in one go. I will come back to him at another time. We're focusing on the mind, not my colicky child. So mental stimulation, mostly for wild horses, comes from foraging, which we as humans have restricted in our various ways, whether intentionally or unintentionally, because I know some people stop their horses from getting near hedgerows because they're afraid of what's in the hedgerows. They've heard horror stories that so-and-so's horse was in the hedgerows and it died because it ate something. And rather than taking the time and effort to focus on what is in the hedgerow, instead, unfortunately, just restrict it off. So some people intentionally restrict it, or some people it's unintentional. They don't know that the foraging is that important. It's more a case of food. Yay, food. So mental stimulation can also be companionship. Now this obviously connects into the soul sphere as well. If a horse has a companion to do the natural behaviours with, that soothes the soul. It provides them with a sense of safety and security and a companionship, because horses are obviously herd animals. So having that connection with another horse in some way or form or another, it provides that companionship, provides that mental stimulation, someone to play with, somebody to figure out hierarchy with, somebody to scratch. It's just somebody else there providing that interaction that they need on a daily basis, that is intrinsic to them, instinctive to them to find. Now obviously companionship is not always easy for some people. They might not have the finances to have more than one horse. It is expensive, so I can understand that completely. But there's always the option of having your horse at livery and having that interaction, whether it's over the stable wall or over electric fencing, or they're put in a paddock with somebody else, or that sort of thing. So there is the ability to give that interaction. So let me know in the comments below what interaction your horses have with other companions. Also let me know about their foraging ability. Do they have the ability to forage as much as they need? Do they have access to hedgerows? Do they have access to other forms of foraging? How do you spread their feed out? Do you feed them by a bucket? Do you give them hay? Do you strip graze? Do you have them a paradise track system? Do you have them in a field? There's no strip grazing to do because they've got the entire field to themselves. I'm really interested to see how this fits for you and whether there is any options that you can see to expand, to improve on this area as well. I understand some of you might be at livery, which means you're very, very much at the mercy of your livery yard owner. Some of them can be absolutely amazing. Some of them can be a little bit more restrictive, whether it's intentional or unintentional, whether it's for the welfare of the horses or the perceived welfare of the horses. I understand that it can be very, very difficult and be very varying of the reasons why. So I'm not going to judge. I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to give you options and give you other things to think about. There's also obviously natural movement. Now obviously this crosses over the body and the soul side of things, because natural movement is great for the body and it's great for the soul because they can do what they like. They have the option, they have the choice to move where they want to, and to have that, if it's on a track system for example, the movement is on that track, which provides them with a sense of safety and security. But natural movement obviously does create mental stimulation. They can go be nosy over there, check out this, check out that. And also if you've got several different types of terrain that your horse has access to, like mounds to stand on, or water holes to wander into and just prat about it, they're clicking away, splashing the water everywhere. It creates their own mental stimulation as well. So that natural movement is very, very good for the mental stimulation, as well as the body, as well as the soul. So that's one that links all three, which is absolutely beautiful, which is why I'm such a fan of natural movement and trying my best to ensure that my herd get the natural movement through, whether it's a track system or other means. My focus at the moment is track system because that's what works for my herd. You might have something else. You might have your equicentral system. You might have a track system, or you might have something in between. If so, let me know. I'd be really interested. And is it something that you can encourage even further to help your horse have that bit more of a fulfilling life, to round off that mind focus, that mind circle? Now obviously movement can also be through activities with us. Now this is obviously more forced movement, I suppose you could put in quotation marks, because it's not the same movement as it would be in natural movement where they can just wander where they like, because we're in more for control of the pace and the energy behind it and things like that. Now, obviously this does link into our body sphere, so that sits in that little oblong. So activities are great for the mental stimulation It increases the bond with us, so then again it's just it does slip slightly into that soul sphere as well, by creating that bond with us, increasing that connection, which can be so beneficial on both sides. It also breaks up the day for them, particularly if they're left alone more often than not, which is fine. Most horses prefer to be left alone. It's us that we want that interaction with them. And if done in the right way, they want that interaction with us, provided it's not excessive. Now, obviously, activities with us might also include hacking, which means they might get to spend time with other horses, particularly if they're not on the same livery yard. You've got your friend who's on a livery yard down the road, or they've got their own field down the road, and you meet up with them, and the horse is like, oh, who are you? New person to interact with, new horsey to learn and interact with, and am I your boss? Are you my boss? That sort of thing. So it provides them with that mental stimulation, new interactions. They get to see more things out in the world as well when they're out hacking tractors and idiot cars and idiot motorbikes and people cycling and safe people who are safe drivers and safe motorcyclists. All of these things that they might not see when they're in their field or in the livery yard or on their track system. So that increases that mental stimulation, which is great for them as well. And obviously in going out with other horses, they get that herd feeling as well. They get that soul and body connection of being part of a herd and having that sense of safety and security of being in that herd. That natural instinct, that natural herd behaviour gets to be utilised, gets to be fed. And obviously activities with us can also be problem solving. Do you set your horse challenges to see what they can do? Do you stretch their mind, or are you more focused on the body? You're more like, right, that back end needs more power, I need to figure out how to get it in there. Or are you more focused on, right, horsey, I'm going to see if you can do this. Can you figure out what I'm asking you to do? In the very nicest way. I mean, it's something that my pagan absolutely loves. She loves a puzzle. This is what I'm asking you to do. Can you figure out what this command is, what I'm asking of you? And it's really intriguing watching them figure it out. Or, oh, it's not this. Oh, it's not that. Oh, maybe it's that, maybe it's that, maybe it's that. And, you know, encouraging them at the right points where they go, oh, you know what? I don't know what you're asking. I don't care anymore. You're like, come on now, you can figure this out. And they're like, oh, maybe I can. And it's just that fun interaction. So not only is it mental stimulation for them sometimes, but it's mental stimulation for us of trying to figure out how to get or ask them in the right way to get the results that we're after, to achieve our own goals that we might have set for ourselves or set for them to achieve, so that we can stepping stone to a bigger goal. So it's mental stimulation for us trying to figure all that out. And I don't know about you, but I absolutely love doing activities with my horses, because it makes me think, because they go, we know that one, Mum, what's next? You're like, oh, let me think for a second. I only had one activity planned and you've done it in 2 seconds. Maybe I'm doing your ABCs and you're busy writing a novel. Maybe I need to up my game. And then that's best for me, because then I'm like, right, now I need to improve my own horsemanship so that I can be at the level that you're at, so that we can then improve our relationship and our bond and our partnership going forward, and see exactly where we can get to. Can we get to liberty work, where your horse isn't connected to you by rope or head collar or anything, and they're just following your instructions or your requests? And it's like, absolutely amazing. That's where I'd love to get to. So that's my big goal. That's where I'm headed, and I'm using my poor tired brain after work trying to figure out little tiny steps to get to that goal. So it's also great for us having the horses for mental stimulation, trying to give them mental stimulation. And obviously you can also do things with varied activities. So no one absolutely enjoys doing the same thing again and again. There's no point. No point. You just get bored, don't you? Oh, this again. You know, you can teach your horse how to do something, like do a figure of 8 round cones. But you got to get to the point where you're just like, right, let's try something else, before they're just like, you know what, stuff this and start kicking the cone about, because they're just like, oh, this is boring now. But maybe that's not the personality of your horse. Maybe your horse is like, I love patterns. I love that I know exactly what I'm doing. I can do this again and again. If that's your horse, great. If that's you going, you know what, you've got this. I am absolutely love you doing these figure of eights. I could watch you all day. Then that's awesome. But most horses seem to get a bit bored and get, right, I need to do something else now. So variety is the spice of life. So when you're working, or doing activities with your horses, are you making them varied? Are you doing groundwork? Are you then doing ridden work? And then are you doing working towards your liberty work? Or are you taking them for walks out, online hacks rather than ridden hacks? Are you grooming them? Are you spending real time grooming them and creating that bond of just at that level? Because I don't know about you, but I spent a lot of time with Egypt when he was younger because he didn't want to be groomed. What is this? Why are you touching me? No, you can't have my leg. No, you can't touch my tail. How dare you? Get off. So we spent a lot of time together. We spent a lot of time interacting around grooming because that was important. To the point where I got him that as soon as he was out and I picked up the brushes, he would literally fall asleep. And he was enjoying the brushing. And he's sort of like, buddy, I'm done. Hello, wakey wakey. And you'd be like, But that helped him to find his calm place in his mind, because he was, if you follow me for a while, you know that he's a bit of a, well, my mother calls him Jekyll and Hyde, because one minute he's high as a kite and the next minute he's chill as a cucumber. And at that time where he didn't enjoy being groomed, he was more likely to be high as a kite and dancing around. So that was great to provide that mental shift to be able for him to find his peace at a time when previously he would have been everywhere and nipping at me and swishing his tail and stamping his feet and things like that. But as we've developed, as his groundwork has developed, we were then heading towards ridden work. Now obviously we've got lung issues, so I can't sit on him at the moment, and that's something that we'll take forward when he's ready. But at the moment, the mental stimulation, the variety, the spice of life is now mostly focused on Pagan, which is an adventure in itself, because the more things that I do with her, the more I stimulate her mind, the more she destroys my track system, because she's like, I know how to destroy this pole. I know how to get rid of this electric now. I thought about it whilst I was doing those circles, while I was doing those figure of eights, while I was doing those half passes and whatever you want to call them, because that's who she be. So then mental stimulation for me to figure out how to stop her from doing it. But obviously when it comes to activities, you've got to find your balance. You can't do too much for your horse, because they don't want to play. They don't want to play after a while. It's just like, we've done too much. Can I just go back to my field and stand there? Can I just go and eat? Can I just not be around you? So sometimes when you overdo it and you do too many activities and you've done such a variety that the horse is just like, I don't want to be around you, you ask too much of me. So you've got to be careful of doing the right amount of activities to keep their mind stimulated, to improve that bond, to improve that partnership, whilst at the same time not overdoing it. So it's interesting trying to strike that balance. And each horse is a different balance. Some horses just go, 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 go. I mean, little Spring, she absolutely loves learning. So for her, going again and again and again and again, that makes her happy. Whereas if you go to someone like the Major, or even Midnight, if you did things too often, too much, they'll just be like, nope, I ain't talking to you. Don't you dare come near me. I don't want to know. As far as I know, you don't exist anymore. So it's really interesting trying to find the balance for each individual horse. And you've got to be so adaptive if you have more than one. I have 5. And it's tiring. It is so mentally tiring trying to adapt to every single horse and figure out whichever one each individual needs. It's improving my horsemanship to no end. But it is exhausting. So it's also making sure that you're in the right place mentally as well. Now, I've mentioned that mental stimulation for us is also involved in providing mental stimulation for our horses. But whilst your horse might need a certain level of mental stimulation, you've also got to be prepared to provide it. Now, I'm not saying that if you can't provide it, you should get rid of your horse. Christ, no. I mean, I've adapted a lot of my life because of my individual horses and their needs, because that was more important to me rather than going, you know what, you don't fit with me, you need to leave. No, no, no. No, no. Once you arrive, you're part of the family. If something needs changing, it is me. And I make sure that I achieve that. Now, that does cause exhaustion on several levels and frustration and upset. And that's something that is a journey that not everybody is comfortable going through. So it's something to think about as well, of your own mental state. You know, do you come to your horses at the end of the day after a long day of work, which has been frustrating and stressful? Do you go to your horses first thing in the morning where you're not even awake because you're not a morning person, but because everybody else sees their horses at 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, you drag your butt out of bed and go? But are you grumpy because you're not a morning person? It's figuring out the balance for yourself as well as your horses. And it's something that I don't think many people think about. The effect that you can have on your horse by approaching them wrong, being in a wrong frame of mind, can be really, really damaging for the bond. And it's something that I've had to deal with, because sometimes I've come off work and gone, I can't talk to anybody because I'm just too broken, because I've used up all my brain power, or Christ, it's been a stressful day because the emails haven't stopped and I've had end-to-end meetings. And I've just gone, you know what, horsies? As long as you're alive, here's some food, that's it for today. And that's allowed. And other days, I'm like buzzing and it's like, woohoo, I'm ready to rock and roll. And they don't want to come near me because I'm showing too much energy out. So over time, I've not only identified different states of being for myself, but also learnt how to manage that in ways that are more appealing for my herd. So I know that if I go bouncing out, they ain't going to want to go near me because they're like, who are you, you crazy person? You're an introvert, act like it. Or the days when I'm like, I just don't want to play, I just don't want to know, I am broken. I don't take that to my horses. I leave that at my computer at my desk and go, right, that's that for today. I am leaving that there. You know what? I'm going to go out and spend some time with my babies. And I don't put pressure on myself of what it's going to be. I just go. But that is something that you have to consider when it comes to your horses, of what mindset you're in, whether you're ready for the mental stimulation. Have you been overstimulated at work? Or you've been out drinking the night before? You're really not the best person right now because you're really hungover. You don't want the clack-clacking of those hooves across the yard because it's friggin' noisy, or you don't want them over your shoulder going, feed me, because you've had too many people dancing in your space, so you just don't want that. Or you just like, buddy, I smell because I still haven't had a shower and I don't feel very well. It's all relative. It's all something to think about, all something to consider going forward. So I hope that I've given you a few things to think about. Let me know in the comments below what your sphere for the mental stimulation focus looks like. Have I been giving you things to think about? Are there things working for you? Are there things that are not, that you might be able to change? But at the end of the day, it comes down to what works best for you, what works best for your horse, and what works best for you both together. So I hope you take that going forward, and it's something that you think about, because when it comes to mental stimulation, if your horse doesn't get the right mental stimulation, they can not want to know you. They can be throwing out behavioural issues such as crib biting, weaving, mental health issues, poor attitude around you, or even physical health issues. And I don't want that for you or your horses to deal with. So think about that sphere. think about how you sit in it, think about how strong it is, think about how balanced it is. And I'll talk to you next week, where we will be talking all about personalities. So I hope you're ready for personalities next week, and then the week after we'll be talking about daily routines, and the week after that will all be about natural behaviours. So I hope you're ready for the rest of the mind focus for September, and also ready for the nice surprise I have for you at the end of all of these focuses. I got all sorts of good stuff coming for you people, so I hope you're ready to rock and roll. I'm going to leave it there, so please make sure that you're connected to us on the Facebook page, join the Facebook group, and check us out on Instagram with _Wilor for day-to-day updates on the herd. Also make sure you check out the YouTube channel, there's a whole archive of information for you, and old Thursday Thinks, so you can go check all of those out and just catch up and ask any questions that you want to. I'm always here for questions. And I will see you all next week for my next Thursday Thinks. Until then, I hope you have a great week. I'll see you all. Bye.